Well, hey, how's it going? Right on, right on. Well, welcome to the neighborhood bike shop for another one of my builds. This is a very unusual build, very experimental. I wanted to take a really older steel framed kind of average bike and make it as cool as I possibly could. And I think that there's a lot of possibility with older bikes. This is a Schwinn 1972 Super Sport, and I've done a lot of cool little things to it. So instead of boring you with me on the camera and all that kind of stuff, I'll just kind of swap it around and wander around the bike and try to show you all the cool parts. I kind of forget some of the parts, but oh well, life goes on. I'm like an old man, I forget stuff. Anyhow, I learned some new tricks. I'm learning how to focus while I'm on the fly. So hopefully some of this stuff won't be as out of focus as it has been in the past and at certain points. Anyhow, okay, here we go. Right on. So as I was saying, this is one of my more experimental builds. I call this bike Mystique, after the character that can change shapes and colors and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of seemed to go well with what was going on with the bike. So you're gonna see some really unusual things on this bike that you've maybe never ever seen before, but have worked really well. There are a lot of little tricks, little subtle touches that are on this bike, and I love it. I love it. Anyhow, as usual, we'll just start up front, with the crazy handlebar setup. So, I wanted a drop bar on here, but I'm not a huge fan of drop bars because of my back problems. So I experimented with bar ends coming off of the corners of a curly bar. And I thought, what if I could throw some brake levers on there, like some of those cross brake levers? So that's exactly what I did. And it may not seem like it works really well, but incredibly enough, it really does work really well. The riding positions is almost like a mountain bike, but I can get into the drops and on top of the hoods and reach the levers in all the different positions, and it works fantastic. It's really cool. Got some sweet brakes, those Diacomp blue anodized cable hangers, sweet looking. And I really love this frame. I mean, it's 1972 Schwinn that was built in Chicago, like a genuine Chicago bike. And that means that all the joints are filleted and brazed. So you get these smooth transitions between things everywhere that it happens. One of the very next things I wanted to do was, I really didn't want the cotter pin cranks that were on there before with the American bottom bracket. So I swapped out the bottom bracket for a conversion and converted it over to European and threw these sweet signature cranks on here. And if you look closely, you can see that inside of the lettering, I've antiqued the color blue into the bottom of things. That is going to be a theme on this bike. You're going to see it in a lot of different places. And as long as we're here, might as well go to the front derailleur, which is a Sun Tour, which I also did the antiquing technique, and I couldn't have been happier with the way it turned out. I think it just looks beautiful. And then we go from here back to the rear end, and these bikes originally had the rear derailleur hanger was part of the dropout assembly, like the axle would hold the hanger in place. And I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to find a better way. So I bought some of these guys. And what these are those hangers for a rear derailleur, and they get slotted into the dropout. Well, instead of slotting it into the dropout, I tapped the frame and I bolt it straight in place. So it's hard hooked to the frame. And that makes the shifting and everything just a million times better. They're very responsive, and I have it on a lot of my bikes, or a lot of my older type bikes. One of the other things I had to do on this bike is I had to spread out the rear seat stays so that they would be wide enough to accept the rear hub assembly. I think originally they were like 110 wide, and so I had to take them up to 135, and I have a special tool that it's out on loan right now, but I have a special tool that I use to spread out those seat stays and get the rear wheel in appropriately. And then I also, when you do that, you have to align the dropouts. So I have a set of dropout alignment tools that I use to get everything nice and square and working perfectly. And might as well go up to the brakes. Now these brakes work fantastic. I'm amazed at the amount of power that they have and capability. On this bike in particular, I have these clear or translucent pads that have blue anodized cores on them. I don't know if you can really see that on film, but anyhow, they look really good and they work fantastic. One of the other things that I did is on these cable hooks or harnesses, I swap the location of how the cable attaches. Now traditionally on these, you'll see the cable itself go on the underside, so it's interacting with the straddle cable, and that makes them a pain in the butt to work on and just very hard to adjust, and they're just constantly getting each other's way. Not so if you do what I did here, which is, this is one of my tricks that I use on every single one of the bikes that I have like this. I reverse this assembly so that the cable's on the opposite side. That way I get clean interface with the straddle cable and an easy adjustable location for the other cable. Then we went into the cool flexi housing, moving it down into the brake line. Seat post, I went back in and antiqued all the fluting so that it would match it. And it just so happened that this seat in particular just matched perfectly with this entire build. I didn't paint the color on the seat rails, it was already there. And there are a lot of echoing of kind of the aesthetics on the rest of the bike that are in the seat, which I dig, I really dig. And then we'll go up to the stem, and you can kind of see another one of those places where I did the antiquing to get the kind of cool blue color on there. See if I can't get a cool shot in here. All antiqued in there. And of course another one of those cool bendy cable housings to get everything where I wanted it to go, nice and smooth, coming out of the freakish bars. And of course I did that same kind of antiquing on all the lettering everywhere that I could. What I did is I took a good color of nail polish. I painted the nail polish on. I let it dry for a half second, and then I took something with some acetone and just kind of wiped it off, and it just left the remnants of that paint in the grooves, and so it antiques it and gives this cool antique look. Again, with my brake lever covers, another thing that I do a lot. Then on the bar, I had this cool blue bar, and I didn't want to hide it with grips, so I got these cool clear grips, and the whole bar setup is clear grips, so you can see the blue underneath. A sweet bell that just matches the color perfectly. Sweet. Again, with the brake lever covers, I just cut up some and put them on the shift levers to make them fit into the, the aesthetic and just be a little bit more comfortable. And it worked out really, really well. Give you guys a couple different views of how these bars look, because they really are cool and they work really, really well. This is probably my number one, if not my number two gravel bike go-to when I go out on gravel, because I have just a myriad of positions that I can get to on the bars, and I have the clearance that I need. I've got I think these are 32 Gravel Kings, Panaracer Gravel Kings. I think that's what they are. Anyhow, love those tires, and they happen to be the perfect color so that they went along with the bike. Sweet set of rims. I think this wheel set came off of my Surly Crosscheck when I first bought it. Eggshell blue in, I think, 2012. Might be a 2011 Surly Crosscheck that these came off of, but either way, sweet rims, sweet hubs. Some color appropriate pedals, and they're really comfortable, and I think they're PNWs, and I got them from the shop where I work, and I love them. They're great. They're cool. Unfortunately, these old bikes really didn't have any kind of water bottle accessories or mounts, so I had to use a adapter that would fit on here, and then just get a water bottle mount, water bottle cage on there, so that it would work out fairly well. Of course, I've still got the kickstand kicking it. Which is nice, but I could take it off if I wanted to and drop like a couple pounds, but I wasn't really worried about that so much. I just really wanted something that had a great aesthetic. Anyhow, this bike rides so well, and it is so much fun. It's just nimble, active. It's got a great feeling as far as the way it feels on the road and on the gravel. It's like just got this buttery feeling to it, and I really love it. So again, this is Mystique, one of my one of my favorite bikes ever. But there's going to be a few more of my favorite bikes ever that come up on this series, on this episode. Anyhow, I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope that I've learned a few things about how to do the camera work on this stuff, and that I made this a little bit more enjoyable as far as being able to see stuff that's not out of focus. And thank you for stopping by the neighborhood bike shop, and I hope to see you again. Oh, don't forget, I am selling my bikes. Bikes like this are going for $500. So get hold of me, and I'm trying to sell my bikes. I've got like 30 bikes that I want to sell. And I'm experiencing medical problems, so there is a place down below in the comments, or down in the information, where you can get to my GoFundMe page that is helping me pay for all kinds of medical stuff. Namely, right now is my teeth. I am having a lot of my teeth pulled out in the next couple weeks, like 4, and our Commander-in-Chief has made it so that my dental insurance is not going to work. So that's on me to pay for, and I'm going to need some help with that, and I'd love it if you guys would be willing to help me out. Anyhow, Mystique, beautiful, fun bike, and I hope you enjoyed it. Shake your booty.